Hi there, my name is Jana Sheffield. I am a kindergarten teacher in the Forest County School District, and this is my subject area literacy portfolio. For this portfolio, I'll be focusing on literacy strategies for kindergarten math. Um, for my personal literacy position statement, the current status of literacy in the Forest County School District is disconcerting, to say the least. According to data from the 2021-2022 school year, only 36% of elementary students in Forest County tested at or above proficiency in reading. This is according to a U.S. News and World Report. Similarly, only 36% of middle school students and 42% of high school students in the Forest County School District tested at or above the proficiency level for reading. It's less than half, well less than half. The lack of reading proficiency is easy to recognize, but it's really difficult to diagnose. Earl Trevelyan Attendance Center, which is the elementary school where I am, 1 year at Earl Trevelyan has allowed me to see a myriad of disconnects in the advancement of literacy for our students. One of the most obvious hurdles is the lack of literacy within their homes. Parents lack proficiency in literacy, which leads to a lack of guidance, practice, motivation from the parent to child. Um, while children are often fluent in new literacies and technology, their reading is often placed on the back burner in terms of importance. Most of my kindergartners can play any technology-based game with ease, and they can navigate a Chromebook with ease. Most of them use phones and tablets daily. However, the scholastic focus is really rare within the home. Another hurdle that exists is for our English language learners. Regardless of ability or grades, English language learners are not allowed to be held back or fail a class, including reading. And I think this is harmful to the overall success of those students. If a student fails reading in kindergarten but is required to move on to first grade, they're immediately going to be at a disadvantage in first grade. And this trend progresses throughout their education. So by third, fourth, fifth grade, they're so far behind in their ability to read that it can be nearly impossible for them to catch up. The importance of literacy and being literate just can't be overstated. It makes the state of the public school system even more concerning, in my opinion. Literacy affects every aspect of life, and it becomes more difficult to reach proficiency once you get older. Early childhood is the time when literacy should be a tremendous focus. Holding students back for a grade when they're struggling or offering them additional instruction when necessary should be a center focus of every child's first few years of school. Pushing a child on to the next grade before they're prepared should never be seen as an option. I believe the ability to read is more important than being in the appropriate grade level. So here are some strategies that I have listed for kindergarten math, and this is going to be my focus of this portfolio. The strategies are activating prior knowledge, sheltered instruction, graphic organizers, literacy circles, brainstorming, and knowledge ratings. So let's jump right in with activating prior knowledge. As stated in the content area reading by Vaca, Moraz, and Vaca, it is impossible to learn without prior knowledge. Activating prior knowledge and generating interest creates an instructional context in which students will read with purpose and anticipation. This is something especially important in kindergarten. I remind these little minds every day of something that they've learned that's applicable to whatever new skill we may be learning. So, for example, if we're learning about subtraction, before teaching the subtraction lesson, I'm definitely going to review every aspect of addition and discuss how it can be related to subtraction. It really helps the students build on what they already know. The second strategy is sheltered instruction. Sheltered instruction is often used for English language learning students, but it does not focus specifically on second language development issues. In sheltered instructions, teachers use a variety of aids to let students who have limited skills see the content visually. This can be applied with hands-on activities, pictures, symbols, artistic representations of meaning. What I've found to be most helpful for my ELL students who are struggling with learning mathematical concepts is to use physical representation of meaning. This can be done with manipulatives or pictures. A lot of the times I like to have the students use their physical bodies as manipulatives. So, for instance, we may gather on the carpet and I may ask 4 people to stand and I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll verbalize, I have 4 kids standing in a line. Now I want to add 2 more kids to this line. So then I'll count out 2 more, 1, 2, and I'll have 2 more kids get in the line and I'll verbalize 4 plus 2 equals 6. And I'll say 4 plus 2 equals, count them all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll do this over and over again because I think that really helps with the physical representation being presented for the students who may be struggling with the actual vocabulary in terms of math. The next strategy would be the graphic organizer. The content area reading book states that these are diagrams that help students conceptualize vocabulary. This is a little bit tricky for kindergarten, but it's something that I like to do during whole group instruction. I don't ever want to limit their abilities based on what I think they're able to do or understand, because a lot of the times they can do and understand a lot more than we give them credit for. So while this is definitely something that I wouldn't use until later in the year, I have found it helpful, especially in math. One way that this has worked for me is when I was wrapping up a unit on the Friends of 10. So basically, it's every simple addition problem that equals 10. The graphic organizer was really helpful to write out all the number bonds that equal 10, and students were able to familiarize themselves with those common equations. Literacy circles would be the next strategy. Content area reading gives a great explanation of literacy circles. They state that literacy circles provide students the opportunity to purposefully understand text by completing a task based on their roles. Students collaborate to build meaning and to reach consensus. To implement problem solving in mathematics, divide students into groups of 4 or 5 and assign each student to a role. So then it goes on to discuss the different roles, and those would be the modeler, the questioner, the reader, and the calculator. I haven't personally tried out this strategy yet, but it's certainly one I want to keep in my toolbox. For the modeler, they would be responsible for modeling the problem, so they may want to draw or make diagrams or charts to help the visualization within the group. The questioner is the person responsible for questioning the students' interpretations of the problem. So they'll question their problem-solving techniques and taking the problem apart. The reader is the person who is responsible for reading the problem. They're underlining words they may not know and words that may be essential to solving the problem. So you should use your best reading techniques such as chunking, highlighting, and practicing frequent checks of understanding. That's what's stated in the book for the reader role. And the calculator, they will be the ones doing the actual math. So they're responsible for completing any calculations within the equation. And they work with the group to make sure all the calculations are done correctly, and they show all of their work. So that is literacy circles for mathematics. I'm curious to try that one out and see how it works. Brainstorming, this one is pretty straightforward. It involves 2 basic steps that can be adapted to whatever content you're using. The first step would be for the teacher to identify a key concept that reflects one of the main topics. And the second step would be for students to work in small groups to generate a list of words related to the concept in a number of given seconds. This is a great tool in kindergarten. It works really well for carpet time and during whole group instruction before we break off into small groups for activities, because it really helps circling back to that activation of prior knowledge. I think that's so critical for kindergartners, and if they are able to feel included in that conversation and that activation of prior knowledge, then that's what really gets their little minds working and they get excited to learn about whatever the content may be. And finally, knowledge ratings. So, knowledge ratings get readers to analyze what they know about a topic. Something I like to do when coming back after a long break, because more often than not, students come back from a 2 week Christmas break acting like they've never been to school a day in their life. They don't know who I am. They don't know what addition is. They don't know anything. So, getting readers to really think about what they already know about a topic. For kindergarten math, this is usually presenting them with mathematical symbols and asking for their meaning. So I like to have these little magnetic symbols that I'll put up on the board if we've come back after a long break. And it will be, the addition symbol, the subtraction symbol, the equal symbol, and we'll discuss and have a group discussion about what all of these different symbols mean. So that will conclude my portfolio for kindergarten math strategies. I have a couple of references listed there, the Vaca Mraz book, Content Area Reading, and then the U.S. News and World Report. This is where I got the percentages of literacy within the Forest County School District. I'm really excited to implement some of these strategies next year, especially the ones that I haven't been able to use yet. And I'm looking forward to keeping all of this information in one place so that hopefully it will be easy to find and implement whenever I'm struggling within the classroom next year. Thank you for watching.